The wind howled through the jagged peaks surrounding Silence Valley, carrying the damp scent of earth and a constant whisper that some claimed was the lament of the dead. In this isolated valley, nestled between imposing mountains and a winding river, lay the small village of St. Lazarus, a place where time seemed to stand still, but the shadows of the past persisted. Isadora, a newly graduated, impulsive, and determined young doctor, Isadora had come to St. Lazarus fleeing a turbulent past in the big city. Her home, a small wooden cabin near the forest, was almost as lonely as her heart. Her arrival in the village was viewed with a mixture of curiosity and apprehension, especially because of the old stories about the abandoned hospital. Old Elias was the keeper of St. Lazarus's memory. His house, a solid stone structure near the church, held secrets and stories told over generations. He was the only one who dared to approach the ruins of the hospital, a place most villagers avoided like the plague. His wisdom was vast, but his eyes held a deep sadness. Young Laura, daughter of the owner of the village's only grocery store, was known for her sharp intuition and fascination with mysteries. Her house, located in the center of the village, had a privileged view of the hospital entrance, a place she observed with a mixture of fear and admiration. Laura had a special talent for uncovering secrets hidden between the lines. Father Bento, a man of unwavering faith, resided in the old church of St. Lazarus, an imposing building that offered spiritual refuge to the villagers. His home was simple, but his heart was generous, always ready to offer comfort and guidance. He was respected by all, but even he couldn't decipher the mysteries that hung over the abandoned hospital. Night covered Silence Valley like a heavy cloak, the wind whispered among the cypresses, and the moon cast long shadows over the stone houses. In Laura's small grocery store, Isadora, Elias, Laura, and Father Bento gathered under the dim light of a kerosene lamp. Isadora, with determination shining in her eyes, presented her findings. Old records mentioned an outbreak of a mysterious disease at the hospital decades ago, records that were inexplicably destroyed in a fire. She believed something more had happened in St. Lazarus, something the village was trying to forget. Elias, his voice raspy with age, confirmed Isadora's suspicions, revealing family secrets passed down through generations, stories of apparitions, of screams coming from the ruins, of a sinister energy hovering over the hospital. He offered his knowledge of the terrain and the secret paths leading to the hospital, paths that most avoided. Laura, ever perceptive, pointed to a detail in the old records that Isadora had overlooked, a strange mark, a symbol that looked like a serpent coiled around a cross. She believed the symbol could be the key to unraveling the mystery. Father Bento, despite his fears, agreed to accompany the group, offering his faith and spiritual protection. He believed the hospital was under a curse, and that only faith could break the spell. Under the dim moonlight, the four ventured towards the hospital. The path was arduous, the trail narrow and treacherous, winding among twisted trees and slippery rocks. The silence of the night was broken only by their footsteps and the wind howling around them. The atmosphere was charged with apprehension, with each step, the feeling that they were being watched by invisible eyes. The imposing silhouette of the hospital, atop the hill, seemed to draw closer with each moment. The rusty gates creaked open under Elias's effort, revealing the shadowy entrance to the hospital. A fetid smell of mildew and decay hung in the air, mixing with the metallic odor of old blood. The moon, partially obscured by clouds, cast long, menacing shadows across the faded walls. Isadora, guided by her medical instinct, headed to a seemingly untouched wing, finding old medical records. The almost illegible notes described strange and inexplicable symptoms, including hallucinations and sudden physical changes. She noticed a recurrence of a symbol, the serpent coiled around a cross, noted next to several cases, confirming Laura's observation. The doctor discovered that the disease wasn't natural, but rather induced by some kind of clandestine experiment. Elias, knowledgeable about the village's history, explored the dark corridors, finding a makeshift altar in one of the rooms. On it, there was an ancient book bound in human skin, with pages full of strange symbols and macabre rituals. Elias recognized some of the symbols as belonging to an ancient cult dedicated to an obscure entity that feeds on suffering. He understood that the hospital was not only a site for scientific experiments but also a sanctuary for this cult. Laura, with her sharp intuition, found a secret compartment behind a crumbling wall. Inside, there were a series of photographs and personal letters from doctors and patients. The photographs showed people smiling, seemingly happy, in contrast to the notes in the medical records. The letters revealed a conspiracy to cover up the experiments, showing that the doctors were aware of the terrible effects of their actions but chose to silence the truth. Laura discovered that the disease wasn't just a scientific experiment but a plan to obtain power and wealth using. The individual discoveries of Isadora, Elias, Laura, and Father Bento, initially fragmented, began to intertwine, revealing a terrifying and complete picture. The atmosphere in the hospital became even more oppressive, as if the structure itself were aware of the truth that was about to be unveiled. The symbol of the serpent coiled around the cross, initially observed by Laura in the old records, was repeated everywhere, in Isadora's medical records, in Elias's book of rituals, and even in the fragment of the ancient scroll found by Father Bento. This symbol was not just a random mark, but the seal of an ancient pact, linking the scientific experiments, the obscure cult, and the curse that haunted St. Lazarus. Isadora's research revealed that the experiments weren't just to test a new drug, but to manipulate human biology, seeking immortality. The mysterious disease was a byproduct of these experiments, a mutation that transformed the victims into grotesque creatures, reflecting the monstrous nature of the obscure cult that Elias discovered. The Book of Rituals contained instructions to intensify the effects of the disease, turning the victims into servants of the cult. The letters and photographs found by Laura revealed the extent of the conspiracy. The doctors were not just dishonest scientists but active participants in the cult, using the hospital as a laboratory for their experiments and as a place to perform dark rituals. The photographs, initially innocent, now seemed to show the patients already affected by the disease, their smiles forced and their eyes empty. The wealth and power the doctors sought were the reward for their monstrous acts. Father Bento's ancient scroll provided the key to understanding the curse. The ritual described was not a simple invocation but a way to bind a powerful entity. The individual discoveries of Isadora, Elias, Laura, and Father Bento, initially fragmented, began to intertwine, revealing a terrifying and complete picture. The atmosphere in the hospital became even more oppressive, as if the structure itself were aware of the truth that was about to be unveiled. The symbol of the serpent coiled around the cross, initially observed by Laura in the old records, was repeated everywhere, in Isadora's medical records, in Elias's book of rituals, and even in the fragment of the ancient scroll found by Father Bento. This symbol was not just a random mark, but the seal of an ancient pact, linking the scientific experiments, the obscure cult, and the curse that haunted St. Lazarus. Isadora's research revealed that the experiments weren't just to test a new drug, but to manipulate human biology, seeking immortality. The mysterious disease was a byproduct of these experiments, a mutation that transformed the victims into grotesque creatures, reflecting the monstrous nature of the obscure cult that Elias discovered. The Book of Rituals contained instructions to intensify the effects of the disease, turning the victims into servants of the cult. The letters and photographs found by Laura revealed the extent of the conspiracy. The doctors were not just dishonest scientists but active participants in the cult, using the hospital as a laboratory for their experiments and as a place to perform dark rituals. The photographs, initially innocent, now seemed to show the patients already affected by the disease, their smiles forced and their eyes empty. The wealth and power the doctors sought were the reward for their monstrous acts. Father Bento's ancient scroll provided the key to understanding the curse. The ritual described was not a simple invocation but a way to bind a powerful entity. With the truth revealed, the group faced the final challenge, breaking the curse that plagued St. Lazarus. Elias's book of rituals contained the key to reversing the ritual, but the process was risky and required precision and unwavering faith. Father Bento, with his unshakable faith, led the ceremony, guided by the ancient instructions and aided by Elias's knowledge, Laura's perspicacity, and Isadora's determination. The ceremony took place under the moonlight in the heart of the hospital ruins. Isadora, using her medical knowledge, prepared an antidote from herbs and ingredients found nearby, based on her research on the disease. Laura, with her intuition, identified a specific point on the altar, a place of negative energy that amplified the curse. Elias, with his knowledge of ancient rituals, conducted the necessary recitations and gestures to reverse the pact. Father Bento, with his unwavering faith, guided the others, raising their prayers to heaven, asking for forgiveness and protection. As the ritual was conducted, a sinister energy emanated from the hospital, creating an oppressive atmosphere. Shadows moved on the walls, whispers echoed through the corridors, and the air was charged with malevolent energy. But the group's faith and determination proved stronger than evil. As the ritual reached its climax, a bright light emanated from the altar, dissipating the shadows and negative energy. The symbol of the serpent on the cross, engraved in various places, began to lose its intensity until it disappeared completely. With the curse broken, a sense of peace and relief invaded Silence Valley. The weight that hung over St. Lazarus had disappeared, and the village was freed from the shadows of the past. The group, exhausted but victorious, left the hospital. The ruins, once sinister and threatening, now seemed less heavy, as if they had been freed from a terrible burden. Isadora, Elias, Laura, and Father Bento, knowing that the truth had been revealed and justice had been done, left St. Lazarus. Isadora returned to the city, carrying with her the traumatic experience, but also the satisfaction of having unraveled an ancient mystery. Elias, elderly but calm, remained in the village, ready to share the stories of the hospital with future generations. Laura returned to her life, her perspicacity sharpened by the adventure. Father Bento remained in the church, his faith strengthened by the triumph against evil. Silence Valley, once haunted by the past, could finally breathe, hoping for a future free from the shadows of the ghost hospital.